YouTube, Bluestube. I'm back, and I wanted to spend a little bit of time today talking about how I practice scale patterns and how I use a metronome. And if you're watching this on New Year's Eve, today is December 31st, 2024. So tomorrow is going to be 2025. So, obviously you have to set New Year's resolutions. This is a must if you're a human. No, kidding. Jokes aside. About 3 years ago, around this time in 2021, I decided that I was going to start learning how to use a metronome and commit to using a metronome no matter how challenging or frustrated I was going to get. I was at a time in my musical life where I realized that learning how to use a metronome and learning how to count and to recognize where you are in the bar of music that you're playing is extremely important. And I put this off for years. I've been playing music for a long time, and for the longest time I was always one of the guys that was like, oh, I don't need a metronome, I got my foot. I could come up with a million different reasons why, or excuses really, why I didn't use a metronome. And that's what they were. They were excuses. It was an excuse to not challenge myself and not to get better at music. So if anyone's listening or watching this or listening to this, I would highly recommend that in 2025 you commit to learning how to use a metronome. Now, how deep you want to get into that is completely up to you, but this is in my musical journey, this has been a huge breakthrough, and I can't preach about it enough. But in order to not make this a lecture and an extremely boring video, which everyone probably has already turned off by now, I'm going to go over a scale pattern out of a scale book, scale patterns book. It's all second position major pentatonic. I'm on a G marine band here. And we're looking at a scale pattern book by a harmonica player named Sandy Weltman. And this comes from a website called onlinelessonvideos.com. It's called 25 Killer Pentatonic Patterns Second Position. This is all major pentatonic in second position. And if you don't know that scale, I would suggest that you learn that scale, because that scale is important. Here's the scale. So I would start, memorizing that scale and getting it, familiarized with your playing. I would start maybe with the lower octave, starting on the 2 draw, up to the 6 blow. And then after you've got that memorized, you can expand it to the 2nd octave, which goes all the way up to the 9 blow. And then after you've got that, I would work on the bits and pieces that are outside the 2 octaves. So obviously I can still work on the high end. There is a blow bend that's in the major pentatonic scale in second position. That's the 10 blow half step bend. It's a challenging blow to play and to get in time. So for all practical purposes today, we're gonna not play that bend. It's something that I need to spend some more time on to get up to speed, but one thing at a time. So we're talking this book, 25 Killer Pentatonic Patterns, Second Position. The book is a PDF and you've got to print it out. This is what the, this is what the first page looks like. So you got some tabs, like these are triplet patterns. And then you've got, quarter note patterns or patterns of 4, groups of 3, triplet patterns, groups of 4. Today we're going to look at this one, number 4, up 4, down 4. And it sounds like this. And then I've added on to the bottom octave here. It starts on the root note in the book, but there is some more that you can play in the same pattern in the bottom. So that bottom octave, or that bottom section before, sounds like this. Okay, so now let's start using the metronome. So when I use a metronome, I like to think of one click gets 2 quarter note beats. You could play it as every click gets a beat. So let's see here. This is, right now I've got it at 104. This would be, so. The way I like to practice, which is more challenging than doing it like that, so you could do eighth notes would be all right. So that's with one click, 1 quarter note for every click. If we do 2 quarter notes for every click, so basically we're cutting the metronome in half. So now I'm going to have it at 52. This would be the same value for the notes that I'm playing. And basically, if you think about this in a bar of 4/4, I'm emphasizing the 1 and the 3 there. So if you were going to say it out loud, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the first thing I would do if you're looking at this book or any kind of scale pattern is I would get that down nice and smooth, start it slow. You can go down here. We'll go to 46. All right, and you can work your way up. I'll go back to 52. The next thing I would do is, instead of playing the click on the 1 and the 3, you could play the click and move it to the backbeat. So the backbeat is on beats 2 and 4 in a bar of 4/4 time. So basically it's like the snare drum in jazz, blues, pop music. Anything that you hear on the radio that's in 4/4 time is going to have what's called a backbeat. So the 2 and the 4 are going to be emphasized by, a snare drum or maybe a hi-hat with the drums. So it's going to be like this. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So this is 2 and 4 backbeat. with a straight rhythm. So playing the scale pattern with the metronome like that would sound like this. All right. So once you get that down, now we can move the beat to the ands. So let's go back to beats 1 and 3. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's emphasize the and. So it'd be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're emphasizing the and of 1 and beats 1 and 3 in a measure of 4/4. So if we're going to play the scale like that, it would sound like this. Okay, so let's take that same idea and now apply it to the and of beats 2 and 4. So this can get a little tricky, and it can be frustrating, but yeah, this is really good practice to learn how to be in time, to feel time, to understand time. So here, beats 2 and 4 on the and of 2 and 4. So it'd be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's emphasize, let's do that with the scale pattern. So it's going to sound like this. Okay. So those are some different ways you can play with a metronome. The next thing I would do after that is we've been playing in straight time. Let's go back and do it all in a shuffle pattern. So a shuffle, if we're thinking every click gets 2 quarter notes, and right now we're playing 1/8 notes, a shuffle would be like this. And I'm going to emphasize beats 1 and 3 again. Hopefully you're sticking with me on this. So here, this is what a shuffle would sound like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's play the scale pattern in a shuffle, emphasizing beats 1 and 3. All right, let's do the same thing on beats 2 and 4. So let's count it out without playing first. This is something that I find really helpful. If you are able to say it, you know, either with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or you can do tas, ta, 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 ta. The nice thing about saying the ands is, you know, the number and the and is, you know exactly where you are. So that can be helpful. It can be more challenging, but that can be helpful. So let's do 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, let's put it with the scale pattern. Okay, so now let's go back like we did with the straight rhythm and put it on the and. So let's go to the ands of 1 and the and of 3. So again, this can be tricky, but just stick with me here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. See what I mean here? This is okay. All right. So on the ands of 1 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's do it with the pattern now. Okay, so let's go back, or let's do the ands of 2 and 4. So without playing and just counting out loud, it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now let's play the pattern like that. Okay, so we've just taken this one scale pattern and we've played it 8 different ways. We've played it in a straight rhythm, emphasizing beats 1 and 3, and then we did emphasize on beats 2 and 4, and then we did the straight rhythm emphasizing the ands of beats 1 and 3, and then we did the straight rhythm emphasizing the and of beats 2 and 4, and then we did the same thing with the shuffle pattern, emphasizing beats 1 and 3, then emphasizing beats 2 and 4, then emphasizing the ands of beats 1 and 3, and then emphasizing the ands of beats 2 and 4. And, you know, this might not be something that you're going to be able to do, you know, if you've never used a metronome before. This is not going to be something that you're going to be able to do right away. You're going to have to work your way up to this. But I'm just out here trying to preach to the world, the harmonica world, the blues world. Get a metronome and learn how to use it. Get frustrated, but don't give up. All right? So if anyone's got anything to add or comments or whatever, I'll be here. Have a great new year. See you guys later.